So, councillors, we have basically one item on the agenda. Oh, sorry. Any apologies? Diane Gray is not apology, but just the one they're not here. I don't have any apologies written to me. Seconded? Yes. Okay. Those in favour? Those against? Passed. Any disclosure or declarations of interest? Negative? There's no have your say. So item 6.1, which is in, there's a D missing. So just, it's ABC, it's been changed, but in your notes it's A, B, C, E, F, but it's been changed. So could I have a mover and a seconder, please? Moved. Nope.
Is it possible to discuss A, B and C separately from D and E and vote on them separately? Can I make a procedural motion to do that? If I can get a seconder.
I'll foreshadow the recommendation in its totality.
Okay, it's been moved by Councillor Robinson and seconded by Councillor O'Connor that we deal with A, B and C separately.
That's correct.
Correct. Okay. Now, and then foreshadowed by Councillor Tyler. Then complete that. Yes. So before we go on, I'd like to ask our CEO, interim CEO, to just give a clarification on the motion.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Councillors, as you would be aware, the purpose of this extraordinary meeting is to adopt the documents required under the Integrated Planning and Reporting Framework under state legislation to enable those documents, draft documents, to be placed on public exhibition for a period of 28 days. There's a detailed report with your agenda tonight. And if I could just briefly provide an overview of the key documents that underpin the Integrated Planning and Reporting Framework. The first document, the high-level document, is the Community Strategic Plan. That's the community's plan for 10 years and beyond, and it identifies the vision, community's vision, and the key issues, priorities for the community. That plan, councillors will be aware, has been out on public exhibition, and there will be a report on your May meeting agenda with feedback we've received following that period of public exhibition, which won't result in any significant changes to the current community strategic plan that was put on public exhibition. The document that sits below that is the first of the documents we're looking at tonight, is the delivery program, or a council's term plan. So the commitments of the council over its term. Sitting below that document is the operational plan. That captures the actions in a particular year to achieve the delivery program and integrates with our budget. To the side is a resourcing plan, an important document. Where do we get the resources from to achieve that planning? That resourcing plan has financial details. It details our workforce management plan and our asset management plan. The report on tonight's agenda also details information with regards to Council's draft budget for next year, 2018-19. In presenting these documents, Mr Mayor, I wanted to particularly acknowledge and thank yourself and all the councillors for your contributions to the preparations of those documents. They're detailed documents, and I wanted to acknowledge and thank you for the contributions you've made in getting these documents together so we can place them on public exhibition. At the end of the public exhibition period will be the 18th of May to the 18th of June. We will be reporting back all submissions we receive from that public exhibition period to enable Council to adopt those documents which will incorporate the budget for next year at your June meeting on the 27th of June.
Good, thank you, Mr. CEO. Right, so councillors, the motion by Councillor Robinson is that we deal with A, B and C. So, Councillor Robinson?
Yeah, the main reason for wanting to deal with A, B and C separately is that I'm still looking at some of the details of the plans and I don't yet feel ready to endorse them. But I obviously agree that they should go out on public exhibition in time for our delivery programme to be communicated to the rest of the community and in time to get it adopted by the next financial year. So it's just, I just don't really see why, until I'm happy with it, I should be asked to endorse it, or otherwise vote against putting it on public exhibition. Thank you.
Councillor O'Connor first. Councillor Tyler.
Now, my view is that I endorse what Councillor Robinson has said. If there's these are different plans, and if people want to discuss them or their concerns with them, then we should be able to do that.
Councillor O'Connor, your microphone. And a speaker for? No? Councillor Tyler?
I speak against the motion and in favour of the foreshadowed motion. The essence of the contract today is to get the suite of documents out to the community for community input. We as a council have had several cracks at these documents over the last few months in workshops, and if councillors still don't have a sufficient handle on them to let them out on exhibition, well then they should have gone to the staff and asked the questions. For example, I asked a few questions the other day and I've had the answers. So we've got no time, we've got to get it out today. It's a very tight time frame. Let's do it. Let's see what the public think, and by all means, when the public come back with their views, we take them on board and we discuss them. But that's my view. Thank you.
Anyone to speak for the motion? Okay, I'll put that to the vote. Those in favour of the motion, which is to just deal with A, B and C separately? 3. Those against? Motion defeated. So, Councillor... A seconder, please. Councillor Martin. Councillor Tyler.
I don't need to speak to it perhaps, but I think it's an appropriate thing now, if we have any questions, just a brief session of question and answers. And I'd like to start the ball rolling by, if that's okay with you, Mr. Mayor, before we go into formal debate or vote. I had a couple of questions. One related to the matter of the level of fees, and the report at page 7 says 2.5, rate peg limit 2.5, council fees, generally in accordance with CPI increases, but listen to this, or to a level that matches the service cost. I'd like to know whether there's any devils in that, please.
Councillor Tyler, your microphone, please, and I'll refer now to our interim CEO.
The issue regarding fees and charges is they've generally been increased at CPI level. We cannot recover through a fee or charge more than our cost of recovering that fee or charge, which is the intent of that particular statement. I think for council, in looking at its finances in the future, an area for council to look at is the programming of a escalation in fees and charges that aren't at full cost pricing, so we can get revenue from fees and charges to match the costs of those services.
I take that point. There's some services that we provide that we nowhere near cost recovery. There's no intention, for example, to jack up swimming pool fees by 100%. Thank you. That's what I wanted to know.
Councillor Martin. Anyone else wish to wish to speak against the motion? Councillor O'Connor?
Look, I think it's pretty clear we all want to hurry on, or at least accede to the statutory timetable, which means that we're pretty much obliged to technically endorse this. I have a number of questions. I'm glad that it's going out for public exhibition. I don't consider this a finalised process, as indeed it isn't. One of the major high-level concerns I have is that to a large extent this suite of documents is aspirational, and it seems to hang a lot on for its sustainability on the outcome of a yet-to-be disclosed in detail service review. I have concerns about the organisational structure, I must admit, and I'm very worried, and I welcome community comment on this, that we actually look at two aspects of this. One is what's coming in terms of this service review, and I think it's not unreasonable for the community to expect some degree of information or a degree of certainty about the relationship between this budget and the service review that is to come. I'm not against service reviews. I think they can be extremely useful in eliminating sort of dated activities that are no longer needed, or that in all the circumstances the community doesn't really want to pay for. But I am concerned that at the highest level, the underpinning of the sustainability of this budget and all the documents around it is something that's yet unknown to the community. My other concern is that we don't seem, as a council or a governing body, to have had the opportunity to lock this budget into the three-tiered governmental process. There's been a lot of examination of the recently released federal budget, and we note with some relief that there is generally a retention of most of the federal monies that local government in New South Wales, including ourselves, has come to rely on. But I note that, for example, the federal assistance grants, which are the only untied ones that we get from the federal government, are still at pre- or 2015 levels. I think it's important for the community to understand that our role is advocacy. It's important for us to understand that our role is advocacy. And I'd just like to draw an example from the budget papers that we have before us. It's stated that the awards for our staff, which is 36% of our total expenditure, are going up by 2.5%. So our costs will be, for staff, will be up 2.5% in the 18-19 financial year, then 2.8% and 2.8% year on year to 2021. Now, the rate peg that we've been given by the New South Wales Government's Independent Pricing and Review Tribunal is only 2.3%. Now, we all know this, but clearly we're just falling further and further behind as a result of a lack of proper financial endorsement by the New South Wales Government, and I might add the federal government. And I think we need to be proactive on behalf of the community in advocating the discrepancies between what we're expected to do with an ever-shrinking budget. That's a really relevant matter, and we haven't, in this process, turned our mind to that at all, and I ask that we do. Look, it would be remiss of me not to mention that I am very concerned. In this budget, we are setting a course for the next 3 years, for the whole of our term. And it would be remiss of me not to say that I am very concerned that as a former member of the LRAC committee, the Local Representative Advisory Committee, during phase 1 of the merger, this being the first official budget from the new merged council, that there are a number of things that are missing. And I have repeatedly asked for explanations or some kind of connection between those previous financial situations, key performance indicators, ratios, local government, Office of Local Government ratios, between the constituent merged councils in phase 1 and where we are standing now. And those have been met with basically a refusal to provide the information, or it's just not forthcoming. And Look, I don't intend to leave it there, but I really need to mention that I'm not satisfied with the degree of explanation that there has been in relationship to the sustainability and the outlook indicators of the previous Guyra Shire Council and Armidale Regional Council, and this budget and this new Armidale Regional Council. This is not magic. There were two deemed to be unsustainable councils put together, and this budget really doesn't do much in terms of reducing service levels at this stage. So where are we headed really? I mean, it's another way of putting my first point, which was about what are we looking at with service reviews. There's a lot more I could say. I won't at this point.
Councillor Connor, your time's up.
Thank you. I guess I knew that because I was rounding off.
I appreciate the reference to the fact of advocacy to the state government for
and federal. Thank you.
So your microphone, please, Councillor. Anyone wish to speak for the motion? Councillor Bailey.
All I'd like to do is to suggest that after Councillor O'Connor's comments, that we ask our local member Adam Marshall to come talk to us about the direction that state government is taking with finance for local government, and ask him to meet with the full council so that we can get a better indication of the direction that we're heading, and whether there's any opportunity. He's been in local government, whether there's any opportunity to see a way forward that we can get a better deal than what we're getting at the moment. So I would like to encourage, move or foreshadow that we formally write to the member for Northern Tablelands and ask him to come and speak to our council.
I'll take that on board when I'm discussing with, rather than a foreshadow, I'll raise that with a local member. So anyone wishes to speak against the motion? Councillor Robinson.
Yeah, well, to my mind, endorsing means approving a document. And although, I agree entirely with Councillor Tiley that this has to go out on public exhibition and we've got to get the comments back from the community, it does seem rather strange that we have to approve of something where you've still got doubts and still other issues that I'm taking up with the management and with the senior executive. So it's a little bit rich that we should be asking to endorse something or improve it if there are still issues or still unresolved issues that I hope will be settled and hope will be just by the time we get back to the community comments, and or when we get the community comments and we get the comments from other councillors or other issues, we can put them all together and discuss it. And that is the time, I think, to endorse this policy. Thank you.
Anyone wish to speak for?
Yep.
Councillor Withers.
Just listening to the comments from other councillors, agree with what everyone said, but maybe I'm wrong here. But by just passing or voting on this now, then allows what we've seen to go out to the community, and knowing what the community is like, some of the really great people out there will be able to find some extra things within these documents that maybe we've missed. So we're only 11 people, so putting it out to the community to get their feedback, and then taking on board some of the things that they may have picked up that we've missed, that then we can go and have a bit more of a look at some of the other issues that may arise from that. So I'm hoping that we can get this out to the community, use their expertise, and then bring it back so we can use the knowledge and information that they've shared with us when we make a decision on these things.
Councillor O'Brien.
No, I've got my name. I'd like to support what Councillor Withers just said, and I would sort of hope, since we're kind of a new council and a newly amalgamated council with at least half of us not having been on council before, I would really implore that the community really look at these while they're on exhibition. If they have any queries, any things they want to ask us to support, to please get in submissions, but look closely. There may be people with greater areas of expertise, even in service delivery or public service delivery, to ensure that you do get your say, you look at things carefully, so that when this does go out, we have a chance to bring this back to council and to bring those issues and solve those issues for you. So yes, endorsing Brad Withers' suggestion that we rely on the community to have a very good look at this and strongly invite the community to make sure that, that they do.
Now, Councillor Connor, do you have a question?
I was going to propose a very, very slight amendment, which
Sorry, but you've already had your opportunity, Councillor O'Connor.
to propose an amendment.
Oh, you can propose, yes.
I'm just saying, given the comments that have been made, and I probably need the CEO's advice on this through the chair, but if we just changed each item to be endorsed for community, for public exhibition, that, yes, I know, but it doesn't say that, Councillor Tiley, with great respect. What it says is that we endorse, and then the last bit just talks.
Councillor O'Connor, can you turn your mic off, please?
Thank you.
For the sake of peace, love and harmony, I'll include the words endorse for public exhibition because that's what it is. Okay? I'm ready for a right of reply if no one else.
Yes, I'm about to ask that. So, is there no one else wish to speak for the motion? Councillor Murat?
Not so much to speak for the motion, just the new initiatives we've got listed on the bottom of page 6 and the top of page 7. When we saw those, they were costed. I think the public have got a right to know what we're doing there, and there should be some costings with it.
I have just a point for clarification there. I note that there was a costing attached to arts and culture strategy implementation. It's now no longer there. So my question is, I hope it's higher than the one we has previously mentioned, but I'll be very upset if it's lower.
Mr Mayor, I can assure councillors that the figures that were endorsed are the figures that are in the budget.
So, Councillor Tyler, you're right to reply?
Just a question first. Are we planning public meetings in relation to the budget as we did last year? Last year we met in Guyra and Armidale.
Not specifically on this. We have got public meetings coming up. I sent an email out just this afternoon. So we are doing that. Yes.
Councillor Robinson's remarks have been covered. Happy to comply with that because we are exhibiting. We approve on the 27th of June, subject to what the community says. I'm somewhat disappointed, but it wasn't unexpected that Councillor O'Connor went down the path that she did. That there was a degree of negativity in what she said, which I found quite disturbing. But worse than that, a clear lack of understanding of budget processes, and that's to be accepted, I suppose, because of her limited experience. But I will demonstrate why. Councillor O'Connor spoke. Councillor O'Brien spoke of historic issues in terms of local government finance and budgeting, issues which have been around for a very long time. The things that she said today are not solvable with the flick of a pen or even Councillor Bailey with a conversation with our local member, although that will help. But I think it's really important that we understand that we're heading towards being financially sustainable by 2026 or earlier. This budget is a plank in that process. It's a break-even budget. We wouldn't have expected anything less. Councillor O'Connor made the point, which was somewhat dubious, about a 2.5% wages increase when we've only got a rate peg of 2.3%. What she doesn't say, of course, is that we have a 40% reliance on rates and 60% of our income comes from grants, fees and charges and other sources. So that's a little bit skewed. I think that this is a budget, it's the first budget of the new council. It's solid. I'm well aware from my discussions with Mr Rose that there's a lot of work gone into this. It wasn't an easy process. But to say some of the things that Councillor O'Connor said, when we're about building a team and putting out the best that we can to get public comment, I don't believe was helpful. But I encourage you all to adopt for exhibition the 5-part resolution on the screen. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to put it to the vote. Those in favour of the motion? That's unanimous. Councillor, Mr. CEO?
Councillors, I didn't want to make this comment to appear as though I was interfering in the debate at all, but just to clarify for councillors, firstly, that the budget you're adopting funds existing services at existing service levels and provides a few enhancements that have been identified in the report. You'll note very clearly in the report that there's a recognition that council and the management team have to work together on reviewing service levels into the future. So I didn't want to make those comments to enter into the debate at all, but I wanted to reinforce that the reporting also makes it clear that that's an obligation that the council and the management team need to work together on. It was not possible in the short time frame of getting this budget together for all of that. That's probably, from my experience, 9 months' worth of work. So there's a significant piece of work to be done by council before your next budget. And as you've heard me comment previously, that budget process really needs to start in July, August of this year.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. I'd like to close this meeting at 4:58. Thank you.